So I don't think there's really any question. The loser today is Diddy. The jury has come back with unanimous verdicts on 4 of the 5 counts. They are hung up on racketeering, but they have reached verdicts on sex trafficking as it relates to Cassie, sex trafficking as it relates to Jane, the Mann Act as it relates to Cassie, and the Mann Act as it relates to Jane. The judge has sent the jury back and said, continue deliberating. They have now recessed for the day. They're coming back tomorrow. And in a minute, I'm going to tell you about why I believe this jury is probably going to come back tomorrow. And let me just first break down why I think this is bad news for Diddy. The Mann Act is easy. It is the transportation of a sex worker across state lines for commercial purposes, prostitution. I mean, I don't see how the prosecution did not prove that. And the fact that the jury came back this quickly, it tells me, look, I don't know, but it seems like he's cooked on those 2. As for sex trafficking, we have to look at Cassie and Jane separately. To prove sex trafficking, you have to show that Diddy committed these acts using fraud, force, or coercion. It's interesting as to Cassie. The jury wanted to hear about a trip to Cannes. They wanted the transcript, and this is where Cassie and Diddy flew back from Cannes to New York. On the plane, Diddy showed Cassie a freak-off video that she was on. And he said, according to her, if you don't engage in a freak-off with me when we land in New York, I'm going to show this to your mother and release it publicly. If the jury believes that, that's it. It's coercion. And it's interesting, they honed in on that during their deliberation. Now, they could go either way, but that was, I thought, all along, the most direct evidence of coercion, if you believe Cassie. And I think he's in trouble there. As to Jane, I think there's more of an issue of consent. And they did not ask for transcripts as to Jane. So I don't know. I think on the Mann Act, he's in big trouble. I think as to sex trafficking with respect to Cassie, he's in trouble. I don't know about Jane. But either way, there is a significant prison term on the table if he's convicted. As for racketeering, here's the way I see it, because I've told you guys now from the beginning, I've always had an issue with this, that this is not organized crime, it's disorganized crime. And it's not typically what racketeering is used for. So the jury said they were split, and it's not 11-1. There are multiples on both sides. And they said we're dug in. The judge said, go back in and try. So if they're just directly following the jury instructions as to racketeering, they need to find 2 independent criminal acts. I mean, if they find him guilty on the Mann Act, and I'm guessing they did, well, there are the 2 acts. Yet, they're hung up on racketeering. What that tells me is it's kind of square peg, round hole for a lot of these jurors, or 2 of the jurors, multiples, whatever the number is, that they're just not seeing this as racketeering. So that's my opinion about it. Now the question, how do they resolve it? So they're going to go back in tomorrow and know that they are up against a 4-day holiday, that the courts are closed on Thursday, the federal courts. The judge will open the courtroom if the jury hasn't reached a verdict on Wednesday. They could deliberate Thursday. It's not always the case, but jurors somehow miraculously reach a decision when it comes to butting up against a 4-day holiday. It just happens. They don't want it held over their heads for the weekend, for a long weekend. So that's one possibility, that they just all come together. Maybe the more likely possibility is they come back tomorrow, I don't know, at 11 or noon, and they say to the judge, we are so deadlocked, we cannot reach a verdict. The judge could then say, you know, it's called the Allen charge, which is where he gently badgers them to reach a verdict. He could do that, but my guess is if they don't come in by the end of the day, tomorrow, and they come back toward the end of the day and say, we're just hopelessly deadlocked, the judge will read the 4 verdicts where they were unanimous and declare a mistrial as to racketeering. If that happens and he's found guilty on 3 or 4 of the other counts, my guess is they won't retry him on racketeering. But we will see. I don't think it's good news for Diddy. When court was over today, knowing that they reached a verdict on 4 counts, he turned to his family in the gallery and kind of whispered to them, I'll be okay. I mean, you could take that either way, but the way I take it is, if he ends up in prison, he'll be okay, and tried to reassure them. So bottom line, I think Diddy is going to be found guilty, and that's just my guess. I don't know it, but just based on the pieces, I think the Mann Act is going to be tough for him to overcome. We will see about racketeering. My gut tells me it's going to be a hung jury. Again, I don't know, but it does not seem like it's good news for Diddy.